let's talk about Fitbit. Miss Meryl, come here, come here.
What do you want, father?
Okay, can you come here? You're so confused. You're like, what are you doing to me? Hey,
Help?
Come here. Yeah, good girl. What do you think about wearing a Fitbit? Let's try it on. Okay, Miss Meryl, very stylish.
Thank you.
Oh, big girl. Oh, girl. Okay, honestly, looks very good. Look at that. Do you not always wear a Fitbit?
No, the hardware sucks.
The real question is Meryl tracking her steps or is she on house arrest? I'm a big fan of fitness wearables. I've tried the Oura ring, I've tried the Whoop, I've tried the Apple Watch. I really like testing these things out because I think they can be a really valuable piece of health information in order for us to maintain our sustainable health journey. This is, however, my first Fitbit, and I have a lot of thoughts. I've decided to check out one of the newest Fitbits, the Charge 5, and the reason for this is because I got mine for $108 on Amazon. It is super small, and it has a 7-day battery life. All of those things seem to check the boxes of a fitness wearable for me, and so I wanted to see if it was really worth the hype. Let's start off with the positive. $100 price point for this kind of wearable is pretty unreal. It's making a wearable much more accessible to the general population as opposed to that $300 or $400 price point of the Apple Watch. I mean, I think that the new Apple Watch Ultra is even up to that like $800 price point. That's just like insane. Who can really afford that for a wearable that you're not even going to be using for that long, probably? I think that the really interesting thing about wearables, and Apple Watch has done a better job of this, is that we really love the novelty of them to start, but we don't end up wearing them for that long. They give us information about our sleep and our fitness, but a lot of times that information is going to be repeated week after week, and then we find that we don't need to track it that long, right? The other thing that I didn't know about Fitbit is that it does come with a premium subscription. When you buy your Fitbit, you get a 6-month premium subscription for free, and then after that, I think it's $9.99 a month. So this is just one way for Fitbit to kind of keep you even after you may stop wearing that Fitbit. Maybe you buy a yearly subscription, and that's where they're really gonna get you. So be careful about that premium membership. When I look at the type of person who would really benefit from the type of niche factors that Fitbit is going to provide for you, I think of it as an older generation who may not value spending as much money on a wearable like this. And that's where this lower price point Fitbit could really be beneficial. Some of the features, like telling you if you have an irregular heart rhythm, or telling you if your heart rate is spiking or too low, or just reminding you to stand up from your desk and take a walk. These are features that would be really, really positive for that 50 and older group. So right off the bat, I'd say if you're looking for something to get your parent as a present that can also be helpful for their health, Fitbit, I think, is gonna be one of the best tools. Anecdotally, Jared's dad uses a Fitbit and he absolutely loves the data that it gives him. And that's a perfect example of the type of person who would really love this product. The other part about Fitbit that I think is absolutely great is the battery life, right? My biggest grievance with Apple Watch is that you have to charge it every single day. And that is insane to me, especially when you think about, like, I would want to charge it at night and I want it to track my sleep at night. So that's a big bummer, right? So it having a 7-day battery life, I found myself actually forgetting to charge it altogether. 7 days is so long that you don't have to think about it, that there would be like 2 days after that 7-day period where it would be dead and I didn't even realize it because I was like, I don't have to charge this thing, it never runs out of battery. The fact that it's only this big and it can have a 7-day charge with a touchscreen that's this vibrant is absolutely insane. I just want to take a look at my sleep scores. So when I go into the app, I'm not entirely pleased with the layout. I find that it's pretty confusing to find the scores that I'm looking for. Wear your Fitbit to bed. Last night it was dead on accident, sorry. But if I scroll down here, it looks like I've got a 70 sleep score, an 86 sleep score, and an 82 sleep score. And there are some graphs here that give you a little bit more information about time of sleep, deep and REM sleep and restoration sleep. And you know, Fitbit does a pretty good job of explaining what each of these scores means. And I think that that is really great. What I don't like is that I find the app is just hard to navigate. Getting to this screen is just complicated. And I think that they make it look really beautiful once you get there. Like, I love the graph that they use for their sleep, but it's annoying to have to find it every time. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to check my sleep scores. I'm not going to check in, right? So I find that really interesting. I think that probably the tech that is being used in these sleep scores, when I compare these sleep scores to my sleep scores when I wear a Whoop or an Apple Watch or an Oura ring, they're all very similar. So I believe that the tech is there. I believe that they are tracking my sleep correctly, but I just wish that they had a little bit of a better user interface when they did that. So this takes me into what I don't like about the Fitbit and the reason why I probably will not continue wearing it. First off, I think it might just be bad hardware. I have a really big problem, and of course it's gonna work now, but I have a really big problem with the screen turning on when I don't want it to turn on. And then when I want to see the screen, when I want to check the time, or I want to navigate somewhere and use the stopwatch, I have to yank my wrist around and it still won't turn on, right? I find that incredibly annoying. It has like one job, right? And that's to like tell you the time. And sometimes I'll like look at my watch and I'll be like, come on, turn on, turn on, turn on, and it won't do it, right? The other thing is, again, this is part of the tech, is that it's super slow to turn on. So even if I do the big motion to turn on the screen, it takes like a second and a half in order for that screen to turn on. That doesn't happen with the other wearables, right? I should say, you know, Whoop and Oura Ring don't have a screen, so that obviously is not a factor. But for Apple Watch, they do such a good job of those gestures being really, really in tune with your body. I also find that, you know, the small screen is great because it's not obtrusive on your wrist, but it's also incredibly difficult to navigate anything on here. I do not use the screen. I absolutely only use it as a tracker, which is not what it's supposed to be, right? If I was only going to use it as a tracker, I would get a Whoop where it has better tech and it has a longer battery life and all that, right? Instead, I have this touch screen that I don't even really know how to use because I find it so obnoxious to navigate on here, and I think that it's very difficult. I think that that's just something that Fitbit really, really has to work on. I wasn't joking when I said that I will go days without realizing that my Fitbit is dead, but I'm so kind of apathetic about the wearable that I don't even bother to check if it's dead, and I don't even bother to charge it. That's not good. Going back to us checking out my sleep data, I find that the app is not user-friendly at all. And I think that they're trying to lean into community and guided workouts and guided meditations. I think this is a pretty big mistake because I think that it really muddies up the app experience for users. I think it makes it very confusing. So I get from a sales and a marketing perspective that you want to show users that Fitbit is a one-stop shop where you can get nutrition advice and you can start meditating and you can meet other people and whatever. I think that if that keeps you from doing the main job of it, which is tracking your fitness, your sleep, I think you have to relook at the app. And maybe it's using more than one app, or maybe it's just like really using the tabs in a better way. I think that is something that they definitely need to improve on. In Fitbit's defense, I do turn off all notifications. And that could be one of the reasons why Fitbit annoys me. I find that we have so many notifications and so many vibrations happening all the time that if I were to have notifications turned on my Fitbit and get messages all the time and get phone calls all the time and, you know, get their reminders all the time, I would never be able to concentrate on anything, right? So I suggest to everyone that they should turn off their notifications and only check them, you know, in a deliberate moment rather than always kind of being on to stimuli that is going to distract you. But I do think that probably they have a notification that says like battery is low, charge it. So like that's on me, right? Weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure that I have every single notification turned off for Fitbit, but I still get one notification from them and it's very random. It's just the notification saying like, you haven't taken enough steps right now. And you know, I take this very personally, living in New York City, getting many, many, many steps a day of saying like, yeah, I'll get my steps, okay? It's just right now I'm sitting at my desk doing work. So, I think it's probably a good feature for a lot of people, but alas, you know, it's that bias that I have against Fitbit right now. And lastly, and I think this reiterates why I believe that Fitbit is probably a really good wearable for an older generation and not so great for a younger generation, is that I do a lot of cross training, right? And Fitbit is absolutely incapable of figuring out what cross training is. I find it absolutely comical that it can't sense when I'm doing a workout. Sometimes when I'm running, it will auto detect because it has a GPS built in and I'm moving pretty quickly. So they're like, oh, he must be doing something aerobic, right? But other than that, Fitbit thinks that I'm quite inactive. Obviously, this is a big problem. Obviously, there has to be ways to auto detect when your heart rate goes up, when you're doing any kind of weightlifting. If it's up for a sustained amount of time, most likely you're exercising. It's not just like you watching TV and like being scared and like they shouldn't count that, right? It just seems wild to me that all the tech that they advertise for this product, they're not able to look at a simple weightlifting 60-minute workout and say, oh yeah, that was probably a workout. We should be able to estimate the amount of calories burned for that workout. And it's not gonna be perfect, right? But right now, it's not even gauging that it's happening. Now, there are so many features that are packed into this little machine, and I'm not even gonna get into them. Honestly, they're really just not that important. They're a phenomenal way to market a product, but a lot of these features we're not gonna be using and are probably not that accurate. Okay, so I asked on my Instagram what people thought about the Fitbit, and lots of responses. Very interesting. Our family has fun competition of who gets the most steps. That's great. Overrated. Love it. 9 out of 10. Apple Watch is better. Try Whoop. Had several Fitbits. Stopped charging after a year, so bought an Apple Watch. Much better. I question the accuracy of the steps. So, interesting. Kind of a mixed bag. My big takeaway is that if you are looking for an inexpensive wearable that is going to give you the simple basics, Fitbit absolutely could be a phenomenal choice for you. But if you're looking for a better user experience and more reliable metrics, I would say that Whoop or Apple Watch are probably a better way to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I think you would absolutely love my videos on Whoop and Oura Ring, which are two of my favorite fitness wearables. I will see you back next time.